Welcome to this deep dive, where we'll be decoding one of the most fascinating minds of the 20th century, Alan Turing.
A mind that bridged mathematics, logic, code breaking, and even ventured into philosophy.
You probably know him for cracking the Enigma code during World War II.
But Turing was more than just a code breaker.
He was also a pioneer in computer science and artificial intelligence.
And that's what makes him so interesting to delve into. He wasn't just solving problems.
It's like he was obsessed with understanding the very nature of thought itself.
Exactly. And he used the language of mathematics and machines to explore those age-old philosophical questions.
Questions that have puzzled philosophers for centuries.
Right. Questions like, what does it mean to think?
To compute, to know.
Big questions, and Turing tackled them head-on.
For this deep dive, we'll be drawing heavily on the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy's entry on Alan Turing.
It's a fantastic resource, especially if you're looking to grasp the philosophical implications of his work.
So where do we even begin with a mind like Turing's?
Well, a good place to start is with one of his most famous inventions, the Turing machine.
Okay, the Turing machine. Now, before we go any further, can you just clarify one thing for me?
Sure, go ahead.
Was this a real machine?
Good question. The Turing machine, keep in mind, wasn't something you could physically build.
So not a physical machine. Got it.
It was more of a thought experiment, a theoretical model.
I see. So what was the purpose of this theoretical machine?
Well, back in the 1930s, mathematicians were grappling with a really tricky problem.
What kind of problem?
They called it the Entscheidungsproblem.
A Scheidungsproblem.
That's a mouthful.
It is. And it basically boils down to this question. Is there a way to determine if any mathematical statement could be proven true or false?
Wow, that sounds like a really deep question.
It was a huge challenge. And Turing, in his brilliance, came up with a way to tackle it.
And that way was the Turing machine.
Exactly. Imagine a machine with a long tape divided into squares.
Okay, I'm picturing it. A tape with squares.
And this machine has some simple capabilities. Like what? It can read a symbol on a square, write a symbol on a square, and move left or right to another square.
It doesn't sound that complicated.
Don't be fooled by the simplicity. Turing showed that, with these basic actions, you could build up incredibly complex computations.
Kind of like building a house, right?
Exactly. You start with simple bricks, but by arranging them in the right way, you can create an elaborate structure.
So the Turing machine wasn't about building a physical machine, but about understanding the process of computation itself.
Precisely. And what Turing demonstrated was revolutionary.
What did he demonstrate?
He showed that any problem that could be solved by a step-by-step procedure.
You mean an algorithm?
Exactly. An algorithm could also be solved by this theoretical Turing machine.
That's pretty remarkable.
It was a huge breakthrough. And you know what? It laid the groundwork for the computers we use today.
Wait, are you saying our modern computers are based on this theoretical Turing machine?
In a way, yes. Turing's work gave us a way to define what it means to compute, to process information. And that definition is still relevant today, even with all the advancements in technology.
Absolutely. It's amazing to think that these foundational ideas came from a thought experiment.
It really is. And to think, it didn't stop there.
No, it didn't. Turing took this concept even further. He envisioned something called a universal machine.
A universal machine? What's that?
Picture this. A Turing machine that could simulate any other Turing machine.
So it's like a master machine that can imitate any other machine.
You got it. You could feed it the description of another Turing machine, and it would carry out the same computations.
Wait a minute, isn't that like our computers today?
You're catching on. That's exactly what Turing was getting at.
They can run all sorts of different programs.
Exactly. Turing, in essence, predicted the idea of general-purpose computer decades before they became a reality.
So we've talked about what Turing machines can compute, what they can solve.
Right.
But is there a flip side to this? Are there things that can't be computed, even by a Turing machine?
Now you're getting to the heart of it. That's where Turing's work takes a philosophical turn.
A philosophical turn. Okay, I'm intrigued.
See, by defining computation, by outlining what a Turing machine could do, Turing also revealed something else.
What was that?
The existence of the uncomputable.
Uncomputable.
Yes, problems that even a Turing machine, even in theory, could never solve.
So there are limits even to what we can conceive of computationally.
Exactly. And this raises some profound questions.
Like what?
Well, for instance, if there are limits to computation, does that mean there are also limits to what we can know?
That's a big question.
It is. And what does it mean for artificial intelligence if there are things a machine could never compute?
Hmm. That's something to ponder.
These are the kinds of questions Turing's work forces us to confront.
It's like he opened a Pandora's box of philosophical questions by trying to understand the boundaries of machines.
He did, and it's a testament to his genius that he wasn't afraid to explore those questions.
Even if they led him into uncharted territory.
Precisely. Turing's mind was always venturing beyond the known, always pushing the limits.
And that's what makes him such a fascinating figure to explore.
Absolutely.
We've barely scratched the surface here, and already it's clear that Turing's legacy is far more than just machines and code.
It's about pushing the boundaries of human thought itself.
It's about asking the big questions and daring to imagine the impossible.
And that's a legacy that continues to inspire us today.
This deep dive is just getting started, and I'm already eager to see where else Turing's ideas will take us.
Me too. Turing's journey is a testament to the boundless potential of human curiosity.
A journey that we'll continue to explore in our next part.
So stay tuned, folks, because there's much more to uncover.
We'll be right back after a short break.
You know, it's fascinating how Turing's work blurs the lines between the logical and the physical.
Yeah, it's like he's saying even a thought experiment about a machine can't escape the realities of the physical world.
Right, it has to have some grounding in reality.
So how does this play out in Turing's thinking? How does he connect the logical and the physical?
Well, he realized that computation, even in its theoretical form, still relies on the physical world.
In what way?
A Turing machine, even if it's just an idea, needs a physical medium to work.
Okay, I'm following you.
It needs something to store information on, something to carry out its operations.
Like the tape and the squares we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Those are the physical components, even if they're just conceptual in this case.
So even a theoretical machine needs a physical basis to exist.
Precisely. And this realization led Turing to ask some really interesting questions.
What kind of questions?
Questions about the nature of physical processes themselves.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Are all physical processes computable, he wondered?
Meaning, can they be broken down into a series of steps and algorithm?
Right. Or are there things that happen in the universe that just can't be described by an algorithm no matter how complex?
That's a big question. Did Turing have an answer?
He didn't give a definitive answer, but he did explore the idea of unorganized machines.
Unorganized machines. That sounds intriguing. What are those?
These were machines that weren't programmed with a fixed set of instructions.
So not like the Turing machine we discussed earlier.
Right. Instead of being explicitly programmed, they were designed to learn and adapt.
Learn and adapt based on what?
Based on their interactions with the environment, their experiences.
That's a fascinating concept. So you'd let the machine figure things out on its own through trial and error?
Precisely. It was a very forward-thinking idea, and it foreshadowed many of the concepts we see in artificial intelligence today.
Like what? What kind of AI concepts are we talking about?
Things like neural networks and genetic algorithms where systems learn and evolve over time.
So Turing was already thinking about these things back in the 1940s.
He was. He even speculated about the possibility of machines displaying something akin to human intelligence.
And this is where his famous Turing test comes into play, right?
Exactly. The Turing test was another one of his thought experiments.
A thought experiment designed to assess whether a machine could exhibit intelligent behavior.
And to do so in a way that was indistinguishable from a human.
So instead of getting bogged down in the philosophical debate about what it means for a machine to think, Turing focused on what we could observe, on its behavior.
Precisely. He wanted to see if a machine could interact and communicate in a way that would fool a human into thinking it was another human.
The Turing test has been both praised and criticized over the years.
Yes, but it's still a valuable tool, don't you think?
I do. It forces us to think about the possibilities and the limits of AI in a really concrete way.
It makes you question what truly constitutes intelligence.
And it sparks debate about the future of AI.
Absolutely. But, you know, Turing's ambitions went even further than the Turing test.
In what way?
He had this grand vision of actually building a brain.
Building a brain. You mean creating an artificial brain?
Yes. He believed that one day we could create machines that would not just mimic, but actually possess intelligence.
That's a bold vision.
It was. And for Turing, it wasn't just a technological challenge, it was a philosophical quest.
So it was more than just creating a machine that could crunch numbers or follow instructions.
Much more. He wanted to understand the human mind itself, its capabilities.
Its ability to learn, to create, to experience consciousness.
Exactly. It was about unraveling the mystery of what it means to be human.
That's fascinating. He was trying to use machines to understand what it means to be human.
And in a way, to recreate that humanity within a machine.
It's incredible to think that he was exploring these ideas decades before we had the technology to even come close to achieving them.
It speaks to his incredible foresight and his willingness to push the boundaries of what was considered possible.
It seemed like Turing's work had this underlying theme of exploring the relationship between computation and the physical world.
Absolutely. He was constantly probing the connections and the boundaries between these two realms.
And this exploration took him into some really fascinating areas, especially when you consider his work on morphogenesis.
Ah, yes, morphogenesis. That's where Turing delved into the world of biology.
Trying to understand how biological patterns and forms develop.
Exactly. He was intrigued by how complex organisms arise from simple starting points.
Like how a single fertilized egg can develop into a fully formed human being.
Precisely. And he wondered if these processes could be explained in terms of computation.
Could the development of life itself be understood as a kind of complex algorithm?
That was the question that drove his research. And his work in this area laid the groundwork for many of the computational models we use in biology today.
So Turing's influence extends far beyond the realm of computer science.
Absolutely. His ideas have had a profound impact on fields like biology, physics, and even philosophy.
It's testament to the power of his thinking, his ability to see connections and possibilities that others missed.
It's like he was always a step ahead, always pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and imagination.
You know, as we delve deeper into Turing's world, I'm struck by the breadth and depth of his intellectual curiosity.
It's truly remarkable. He wasn't content to stay within the confines of any one discipline. He was constantly seeking new challenges, new questions to explore.
And he wasn't afraid to venture into uncharted territory, even if it meant challenging conventional wisdom or questioning fundamental assumptions.
Exactly. He was a true pioneer, a visionary who helped to shape the intellectual landscape of the 20th century and beyond.
And his legacy continues to inspire and challenge us today.
It does. And, you know, as we move forward into the 21st century, I think Turing's ideas will become even more relevant.
In what way? How do you see his work shaping the future?
Well, as we grapple with the increasing power and complexity of AI, we need to confront the ethical and philosophical implications of these technologies.
Questions about the nature of consciousness, the meaning of intelligence, the role of humans in a world increasingly dominated by machines.
And I think Turing's work provides a valuable framework for thinking about these issues. It forces us to ask tough questions about the nature of humanity and our place in the universe.
It encourages us to think critically about the technologies we're creating and the impact they'll have on our lives and our society.
And ultimately, I think it inspires us to strive for a future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
It's a future that Turing himself might have envisioned. A future where machines and humans can coexist and collaborate in ways that we can only begin to imagine.
It's a future worth fighting for.
Turing's impact on how we think about artificial intelligence, it's undeniable. But did he ever believe a machine could truly be conscious?
Consciousness, the age-old question. Philosophers have been grappling with that one for centuries.
And there's still no easy answers there.
Not really, but I think Turing's work offers a fresh perspective on this debate.
By shifting the focus to observable behavior, right?
Exactly. The Turing test sidesteps the whole debate about internal states, subjective experience, all that.
It doesn't try to define consciousness itself.
Nope. Instead, it asks a simpler question. Can a machine behave in a way that's indistinguishable from a conscious being?
And if it can, does that mean it's conscious?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And, you know, Turing didn't claim to have a definitive answer to that.
But he was open to the possibility, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Remember, he firmly believed that the human mind is ultimately a product of physical processes.
And if those processes could be replicated in a machine,
Well, then it opens up a whole new realm of possibilities, doesn't it?
the possibility of a machine that could experience the world, feel emotions, even have a sense of self.
No, those are some profound implications. But even today, with all our advances in AI, we're still quite a ways off from creating a machine that can truly mimic the full range of human thought, let alone consciousness.
True, but the fact that we're even having this conversation shows how powerful Turing's ideas were and still are.
He gave us a new framework for tackling these questions.
And he helped spark a field of research that continues to captivate us, even challenge us.
Absolutely. And I think that's why his legacy remains so strong. He wasn't just a brilliant scientist, he was a visionary.
Someone who expanded our understanding of what might be possible, not just in terms of technology, but in terms of human thought itself.
And who knows, maybe he even planted the seeds for a future where machines and humans can coexist, maybe even collaborate in ways we can't even imagine right now.
A future full of potential, but also challenges.
Definitely. It's a future we'll need to navigate with care and wisdom, but I have a feeling Turing would be thrilled to see how his ideas continue to shape the world.
He'd probably encourage us to keep asking those big questions, even if the answers seem out of reach.
Oh, I think he'd relish the mystery, the pursuit of knowledge, the constant push to understand more.
Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of Alan Turing.
What a journey it's been.
We've explored his work on computation, his fascination with the uncomputable, his vision of building a brain, the enduring legacy of the Turing test.
And we've seen how his ideas continue to shape our world in profound ways.
I hope this deep dive has left you with a new appreciation for Alan Turing, the brilliant mind that he was.
A mind that dared to imagine the impossible, a mind that continues to inspire us to this day.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop wondering.